Hey, everybody. You are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie Servant. Enjoy the movie. Aibileen Clark has been a servant all her life, just like her mom. Her grandmother was a slave. She raised 17 white children and knows how to treat them well, unlike their parents. Aibileen also cooks, irons, does laundry and buys groceries, for which she gets 99 cents an hour. But of course, the main task is to look after the little girl. It is good if Elizabeth takes her daughter in her arms at least once a day. She was too young to have a child. But Skeeter Phelan is not in a hurry. A progressive girl came to get a job at the newspaper, but for now she was assigned to answer readers' letters for $8 a week. Hilly Holbrook is marking toilet paper with a pencil for some reason, and she's the first young girl in the bridge club to have a baby. Everyone else is just imitating her. She and her mom have a cook named Minnie. Minnie is Aibileen's best friend. Today they have to serve all the ladies from the bridge club who gathered at Elizabeth's house. Minnie complains to her friend that Miss Hilly is marking the toilet paper to see if the maid is using the master's restroom. Except she brings her own paper from home. The young moms were joined by Skeeter, who, unlike them, has been studying for the past 4 years. Skeeter bragged about getting a job. The girl asked Elizabeth for a favor, to have her maid Aibileen help with answering letters for the household as well. The thing is that her nanny has quit, and Celia Foote is also in need of a maid because she stole Hilly's boyfriend, who became her husband, and now she is not welcome at the bridge club. Hilly wants to go to the bathroom, but she's holding herself back. She would love for these blacks to do their business outside. She promotes the idea of each white family having a separate restroom for the black servants. Skeeter is uncomfortable with these conversations. She apologizes to Aibileen for them. Elizabeth worries that her friend shouldn't distract the maid too much with her letters. She has silver to clean tomorrow. Skeeter tries to find out from her mother why her nanny Constantine left, but Charlotte won't talk about it. She's more concerned that her daughter is still without a man, which is why the news about the newspaper job didn't make her happy. Charlotte just read the other day about girls who think about the country. At the table gathered the whole family. Only the father praised his daughter for her desire to work. Perhaps at least he will tell what happened to Constantine, but the father also does not reveal the truth. She decided to go to relatives. Skeeter guessed that the mother simply fired the woman who gave this family 20 years of her life. The girl recalls that it was Constantine who supported her in difficult moments, for example, when no one invited her to the dance. Guys thought that Skeeter ugly. Constantine all her life bitching someone's mockery, and advised the girl to just ignore the fools. Skeeter called the editor-in-chief Elaine Stein and said that she decided to write a book on behalf of black maids. Women who raise white kids but can't even go to the same bathroom as their parents. Skeeter lied that she had already found a woman who was willing to tell the whole truth, but she just now came to Aibileen and asked her to share what it was like to be a black maid, to reveal all the secrets. But the woman doesn't agree. She realizes what they can do to her in a state like Mississippi. And here Elizabeth told her friend that she distracts Aibileen from her duties. Minnie is anxious to go to the bathroom, but it's storming outside. Miss Walters offers to go to their restroom, but Hilly chases the woman out into the downpour. Minnie ventured to use the master's toilet, but Hilly followed her. The rich woman immediately dismissed Minnie and she left the house in spite of the weather. Elizabeth has already installed a separate toilet in the house for Aibileen. Little May says she's her real mama. Skeeter is still trying to get Aibileen to help her with the book. If the maid agrees, she will have her house burned down. The woman is afraid. In the 60s, white nurses didn't have to go into black rooms. Books were only shared between readers of the same race, and anyone who called for racial equality was subject to imprisonment. Hilly lied to all the neighbors that Minnie was a thief, and the maid decided to take revenge on her in some terrible way. Now she would never find work. Minnie's husband finds out and starts beating her up. At church, the Reverend tells the congregation to be brave, which inspired Aibileen, as well as what happened to her friend. So she invited Skeeter over to her house. She's never had a white person come over before. What it's like to raise a white child while someone else is watching your son, Skeeter asked, but Aibileen doesn't want to talk about it. The woman recalled how the first white child kept asking why she was black, and she told him because she drank a lot of coffee. The new maid told Miss Hilly and her husband about her children who are excellent students. She wants to send them to college, but she doesn't have $75 to pay for both children's education. May asks to loan her this money, but Hilly only mocks the maid. Minnie gives her daughter advice on how to serve white people. For example, while cooking, everything should be tasted with her own spoon, and the main thing is never to be impertinent. The husband took the girl out of school to replace her mother, and the family did not go bankrupt. Minnie herself went to get a job at the outcast Celia Foot. This eccentric lady is not like the young bitches from the bridge club. She is friendly to Minnie and even offers her a Coke. Celia has already been turned down by 5 maids, so she didn't even believe her ears at first when Minnie agreed to work for her. But there is one nuance: the husband must think that it is Celia so well coping with the household, so Minnie must come and go at certain hours so as not to get in his face. At the bridge club, the ladies are discussing nonsense and Hilly's initiative about black toilets. But Skeeter is putting her in a bind. Her friends tell her that a certain steward is due to arrive the other day, with whom Skeeter can get something going. One day May finds a gold ring behind the sofa, but does not return it to its owner and put it in her pocket. Abilene tells the writer how much Elizabeth doesn't care about her daughter. The baby still sleeps in a diaper and doesn't change it for 10 hours until Abilene comes in the morning. And yet Elizabeth is pregnant again. Minnie came to her friend's house and was surprised to see a white girl. She didn't think Skeeter could help them. She would rather hurt the blacks, but it took her 5 seconds to change her mind and join the conspirators. Minnie turned out to be much more talkative, sarcastic than her friend. She told the arrogant white ladies until the morning. Mama meanwhile bought Skeeter an iron, and the girl was impressed with the result. The Cadillac was taken by her brother, so Skeeter went on the date in a truck. She showed up all disheveled and sweaty, so Hilly had to reanimate her hair, but it wasn't worth it. The much-praised steward turned out to be a boozer and an arrogant cad. Skeeter didn't put up with the rudeness and went home. Minnie teaches Syria how to cook and shares various housekeeping tricks. The maid is shocked that the rich girl is dining with her at the same table, and she also wants Celia to tell her husband about her after all. The editor really liked Skeeter's piece, but 2 stories are too few. She needs at least a dozen more. But the friends have already interviewed 30 maids and none of them agreed. They are afraid. Suddenly, Abilene confesses that her son was run over by a white foreman in a truck while he was working on a construction site. He dumped him outside the hospital, honked his horn, and drove off. The boy was not saved. The woman pleads with the writer not to give up and continue the case in memory of her son. Elizabeth bullies her daughter. She thinks she is fat and ugly. While no one sees, Skeeter turns to May, but the woman doesn't want to risk her children's future. Hilly warns her friend that if the real racists find out she's hanging out with black people, she'll be in trouble, and insists that Skeeter finally print her bathroom initiative. In the morning, the girl is awakened by her agitated mother and Stewart arrives. And Skeeter is obliged, she says, to do whatever it takes to charm him. Stewart apologized for his behavior. He had been dumped by his fiancée a year ago and wasn't ready to date yet. But his friends insisted. Skeeter, on the other hand, admitted she'd never dated anyone. Stewart was interested and invited the girl who always says what she's thinking to dinner. Stewart first praised the way the girl writes and then called her smart and beautiful, so their date ended with a kiss. Skeeter had to print an ad to have old coats brought to Hilly's house. And she gave them out to the poor as well, but she punished the racist by replacing the word coats with toilets. Little May immediately used one of them, for which Elizabeth beat her daughter badly. Abilene began to calm the girl, calling her beautiful, intelligent, and priceless. The Black rights movement is gaining momentum in the States, but Charlotte, a Southerner, doesn't want to hear about it. Reverent to her, Abilene has been dropped off the bus, having just been shot by a dark-skinned man. Abilene hides at Minnie's and learns that a famous activist has been killed by a Klan doll. Minnie worries that a similar thing could happen to them if someone finds out what they are doing. A wave of racially motivated hate crimes is sweeping the country. Celia locks herself in the bathroom and sends Minnie home. She gets agitated and kicks the door in. Turns out the woman had a miscarriage. It wasn't the first time it happened, and Siri's husband really wants a baby. She didn't tell John about her pregnancy and the last 3 miscarriages in case he left her. Celia buried the baby in the backyard. When Maid gets off the bus, the police are already waiting for her. Aibileen yells for her not to resist, and a cop hits her in the back with a baton. Hilly watched this from the car and then told her friends how this thief showed up at the pawn shop with a ring. The dark-skinned bartender asked Skeeter to go urgently to Aibileen's house, where all the maids had gathered to tell their stories after the incident with Wild May. Celia and her pie ventured into the bridge club, Hillis commanding everyone to shut up and hide under the tables. Celia looked out the window and saw the ladies laughing. She realized everything and paid and ran to the car, only now Celia learned from Minnie the reason for their hatred. But after all, she began to meet John after they broke up. Hilly, she does not steal fiancés. The girl felt sorry for Minnie, who was once again badly beaten by her husband. If it were her, she would warm the man with a frying pan and send him to hell. Minnie finally decided to tell her friends what she had done to Hilly. She went to the red-headed bitch's house and fed her a pie filled with her feces. She didn't really want to tell the rich girl about it, but she couldn't help herself and she threw up. Ms. Walters laughed until she cried, and for that, Hilly sent her mother to a nursing home. This story could be insurance for them if Skeeter publishes it, because Hilly will deny to the last that the story is about her and that it even happened in this town. The rich have organized a fundraiser for African children, and Celia is there, with all the husband's eyes fixed on her cleavage. All night long, the woman keeps a glass of alcohol in her hand. Minnie's chocolate cake was voted the best in the baking contest tonight, and it went to Miss Hilly. A drunk Celia came up to her to explain herself about her husband, but instead tore her dress. Hilly took her aside and threatened her. She's sure Minnie told her about that chocolate cake and threatened her to keep her mouth shut. Immediately, Hilly vomited on the floor in front of everyone. The next day, Minnie told her about the lady and why Hilly went off on her. A story about a pie with an unusual filling struck Celia. 260 pages of text were printed. Skeeter had only to add her personal story, and she came to her mother to find out what had happened to her nanny Constantine after all. Charlotte tells how during an important reception, Constantine's daughter showed her temper and entered the house. When the hostess closed the door in front of her, the other ladies reproached Charlotte that her servants had gone wild, and the woman dismissed the old maid in front of everyone. Charlotte regretted her action and came to Constantine the next day, but by that time she had already moved out. Skeeter was going to go to Chicago to get the nanny, but her brother already wanted to bring her back, but it was too late. She was dead. Soon Skeeter's book was printed. The girl received $600 for it and divided the money among all the maids who helped her. The book fell into Miss Stewart's hands, and when she got to the pie story, she immediately advised her daughter to read it. Stewart was angry at Skeeter because of the book and even abandoned the girl, fearing future problems associated with it. Gradually, the scandalous work was read, all the inhabitants of the city and many recognized in the characters themselves. Most of all, readers stirred up, of course, the story of the pie with shit. As many had hoped, Hilly denied that the book was about their town. Angry, she got drunk and came to Skeeter's house. The rich girl is going to sue the writer and destroy the maids. Hilly decides to complain to Charlotte about her daughter, but the woman assumes she just had too much chocolate cake and chases her away. Charlotte has cancer and it's getting worse by the day. But she's at peace with herself, having reconciled with her daughter. She's proud of Skeeter, who's been hired by a major publication. Once John caught Minnie going shopping to his house, the woman thought that now she will be killed, but John on the contrary grateful to the maid. She literally saved Celia. She became much better when Minnie began to work for them. He guessed it all at once, as soon as there was fried chicken on the table. He and his wife prepared a surprise for Minnie and set a festive table. To prepare all this, Celia did not even sleep at night. The couple promised that Minnie can work here all her life, if she wants to. This gave the woman strength, and she took the children and left her tyrant husband. Aibileen is applauded in the church. grateful for what she has done for the black citizens. Skeeter wanted to refuse to go to New York, but Abilene convinced the girl that there she can do much more. Besides, she has only enemies left here. She will be hounded. She and Minnie would take care of each other. At Elizabeth's house, Abilene waits for Hilly and accuses the bitch of stealing the cutlery she gave her friend. Hilly can't put the maid in jail for what she wrote, but she can throw her in jail for stealing, just like May. Except that Abilene can write a letter from prison and everyone will know the truth about the pie. She asked Hilly if she was tired of being such a horrible person. Elizabeth chases the maid away and May is left without her mom. Abilene asks the girl to remember that she is a smart, kind, and precious girl. May became Abilene's last child, but the woman has no regrets that her life changed in an instant. She told the truth and only then did she feel free.